Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, their habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there and welcome back. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and you can find me at www.CesarRespino.com. Welcome to You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Today, I have a special guest. His name is Shahid Durrani. Hey, Shahid, how are you?
Good. How are you, Cesar?
I'm doing wonderful. Yeah, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for being here. Really looking forward to our interview today.
Very good. Thank you.
So before I get going, I want to kind of give our listeners and our viewers a little bit of your background, and then we can dive into the interview.
Sure.
So I'll give him a little bit of that, and then I want you to kind of tell me more of that, because you know your story better than I do. So Shahid, he's a leader and entrepreneur with business in medical, advertising, and online. He created a unique program for multidisciplinary clinics to grow their practice. He's also the co-founder of MyGo2.io, which is an automotive site where people can post their vehicles to sell and has a membership component to it too. He's also an Instagram influencer with over 50,000 followers and launching a podcast called Super Entrepreneurs Podcast, where he'll be interviewing leaders and entrepreneurs to find out what their unique capabilities are to help them become successful. That's awesome. I love that. So take me back to maybe where you're from and tell me back to when you were growing up.
Sure. I was born in Thunder Bay, Ontario, in Canada. To extremely hardworking dad. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I was about 2 years old, I think, when we moved back to Toronto area. And then, growing up, my dad always traveled a lot because of his career. So, whenever it was safe, he would take us. So, we lived in different places like South Carolina, North Carolina, many different cities in Toronto area and Canada. I was very close with, I'm still close with him, my dad, and I was really close. So as a kid, I remember my dad used to always talk about, he would actually talk about how he wanted to start a manufacturing plant. So he would travel because of a job, so he would take us when it was safe. I was very, very close with him, connected. I was the baby of the family, so the youngest. He, when he actually went to locations, I would really, really wanted to go with him. And growing up, I realized that that's one of the reasons why I was so fond of business. First, I was hearing him talk about opening a manufacturing plant, right? Which he made that dream come true, by the way. So
nice.
Yeah, but I was growing up hearing it, and I always started imagining every time I saw a business that I want to own that. I want to own that and all that kind of stuff. And I think the reason was so I could be more with him because he would travel so much because of the job. So I thought that was the reason. If we had a career, if we had a business, he would be with us together all the time, right? Right. He would go for 3 weeks up to like a year, at times. So it was very difficult. And then, I was a little lost because of that dream of having a business. So I was kind of going into the wrong hands. So anything that looked pretty, I would buy it and try to do it. And, obviously I got cheated by the wrong people. I went through a hurdle of failed entrepreneurships and businesses and all sorts of stuff growing up. My family would always say, get a job. And I would listen, right? Because, just in the culture, you just would listen, right? So they would tell you, So, okay, no problem. I'll just do it, and I'll find something that'll work. And I wasn't happy. And then I would leave and then find another business. And I said, okay, this is it. And then that would fail, right? So eventually in this process, I got married. I had a baby, and I ended up at my brother's basement. Studio apartment. Basically, the apartment was a size where you had the room, the bathroom, and the kitchen all in one area.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
So I remember my almost a year old, or around a year, 2 years, he was crawling, and I remember it was such a tiny space for him to crawl, and I felt that one day I saw him there, obviously, because our furniture was our bed, so that's where we would sit, and that's where we would basically sleep. So I would see him crawling, and it felt bad. But that one day, I don't know what happened. I kind of had a meltdown. I went to the bathroom. I remember, having tears and getting freaked out and having a weird feeling because I was in debt and I owed my brother money. I was newlywed, right? So I was sitting in a basement. My wife was claustrophobic, right? So it was, she still is, but I couldn't figure out what to do, and I got so overwhelmed, and I let it go. And then that day, I remember I made a promise that I'm going to make some changes. So I wrote a note to myself. Actually, I wrote it and said a promissory note that I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure nobody feels this way and all that kind of stuff. But again, I ended up in the job because I needed to get money. So a buddy of mine got me into this large grocery chain here in Canada. In the supply chain department, and I had no idea what the heck to do. Like I knew computers, I knew software, I knew Excel, I didn't know what exactly. So I kind of learned really quick. But again, I wasn't happy. It was a job, right? So, and then I did a side hustle. I started an app company, and in the app company, it did pretty good. During that time, as a side hustle, I hurt my back really bad, and then I started getting treatment at some facilities. And it was great. Everything was amazing. But one thing came to my mind. I go, okay, I'm paying out of pocket. Even if there was insurance, I'm still paying every month for that coverage, right? So I'm paying for the service. Why don't I feel like I'm paying for it? Why does it feel like I'm in a government location, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it was missing, like an experience was missing. I didn't feel special being there, right? But the treatment was good. The facilities were great. Everything was great. It's just that experience I'm talking about, right? So I started saying, you know what, why not get into this business? So I started researching. I had no idea about medicine. I don't have a background in medicine. I don't even know where to start, right? So I started looking into it. I did research every night, into this. And then finally I found a place for sale. It was a foot clinic. So I got my brother to join me and we bought it. And we kind of transformed that foot clinic into a multidisciplinary. So we did like physio, chiro, everything in there, right? Not just one thing, not just feet. And from there, I was kind of relying on the traditional means of all the training I was getting and the questions I was asking colleagues is what am I supposed to do? They said, okay, do this, put a sign up, put physio, massage, chiro, and all that kind of stuff, right? So I did all the generic stuff and I found that there wasn't enough. I felt like I'm just following the crop. Like I'm just kind of, what everybody else is doing, I'm just mimicking. I go, I'm not getting that value. And the patients that we're getting weren't the patients that I was looking for. So, I wanted patients that we could actually help because that was my vision. I wanted to help as many people as possible, right? So I changed the model. I added a marketing system. I created it. It's called TAPE, the Absolute Patient Experience. We doubled our revenues. I worked less. Long story short, it's a systematic way for a clinic to run their business with least amount of work, where everybody does their dance. I call it clinic dance. So everybody does dance, and they complete the experience of what patient feels when they first see us online, when they find us, and the moment that they're discharged. Everything is articulated. Every touch point is designed and documented, plug and play. So, COVID happened, so things are different, but I'm taking this program to market to clinics locally in Canada and internationally. So the States. In the process, we're actually franchising as well. And all that stopped because of COVID, you know what I mean? So the franchising is kind of on a back burner. But this model is more, I can get faster to the market and help more people by just giving this program to clinics. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah, that's
franchise
right.
investment. So
yeah.
huge.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. And so let me ask you something, you know, kind of going back to when you were in your brother's basement, right? Would you consider to be that one of your biggest lowest point? Because that was a low point, like, you know, it's kind of hitting rock bottom, you know, just having been married, you know, going through all of that, being in a very small place and then you breaking down. A lot of times, you know, sometimes it takes that moment or in life to be able to, like you made a promise to create an objective to look at, you know, this is, I cannot take this anymore. And number one, number two, enough is enough, and I'm going to make a change. Unfortunately, some people don't get there. And something that's part of the reason why I created this podcast is because I want to be able to give people the space and the platform and the ideas and thoughts of more people, right? To say, yes, you can get there. Here's an example of someone that got to that point. But for you, was that your lowest point, or you had other obstacles throughout your journey that you have to overcome in your life?
Yeah, so before that, one time I remember waking up in a hospital, and then the doctor said that you almost died, you weren't breathing. So that was really serious. So I remember driving home the next day, and I'll say, what the heck is this? What happened? Like, I honestly, I had to get my car from 2 days later from a friend. Like, it was a bad situation, but you know, that was a turning point. So I made a lot of changes in that because of that reason. It helped me a lot to make me who I am today.
Yeah.
But it didn't get me anywhere, right? It still was losing money.
Right.
I was still trusting the wrong people. Anytime anybody was, you know, I could see some goodness in someone, I would trust them, you know, and that, and I'm not saying it's not a good thing. You should, but just kind of have some kind of intelligence behind that, right? You know, so you don't just make a decision just based on that.
Right.
So I learned a lot from that experience as well. But that breaking point was the fact that, you know, people are dependent on me, right? So, you know, you have your wife, your kid.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in a situation where, you know, God forbid, like you can't provide, like you're in the worst, like being worse than that was pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's awakening. So I had to make some. And then when I got that job again, I was like, oh my God, again, like, so okay, no problem. My mind is right now. Like, my mind is in a place, you know, and that's my main objective as well. Like you have, right? Mm-hmm. I want to help as many people as I possibly can. Like, that's what I do. I'm the go-to guy in the people I know anyways. Like, they ask me, how do I do this? What do I do for branding? What do I do? You know, I do give back. Yeah. But I feel that having that mindset is everything. You know, having the way of looking at things, the way what you say, how you know, like the amount of smiling you do in a day, you know, like these kind of things accumulate to who you are as a person that reflects what you do, right? It's the outcome that you get from that, having that help and that vision and that support by people like yourself, and how I want to do as well. It helps people, right? They kind of see. I never even looked. I spent money on coaches and all that stuff, but I didn't. I wish I even realized there must have been places back then where I could go and listen to someone and be a part of that community and feel something, right? But I never even looked. I just looked amongst my friends, right? That was around me. But like what you're doing, like this kind of things is so valuable because you're impacting more than yourself.
Right. Oh yeah.
Family, right? You're impacting outside of your circle where you're affecting someone's life in a positive way. Yeah, no, definitely. There's a few things that you mentioned, and hopefully our listeners and viewers caught on to that. Number one, you said, you know, the things you said in that aspect, right? So words do matter, right? I mean, a lot of times we don't believe that, or we tend to believe that the words we say, whether it's to other people or to ourselves, don't matter. In the contrary, they do, and they matter a lot.
And more so, that's the reason why we have to be more careful as to how we communicate to people and to ourselves. A lot of times we tend to downgrade ourselves and say, oh my God, you're dumb, or, you're stupid because you did this or whatever. We're so easy to blame ourselves for it and sort of calling ourselves names. So words do matter. The second thing you talk about is like how you smile, how you, portray yourself, which is the physiology, right, of your persona. And so again, if you change your physiology, that can make a big difference. Like a simple smile. Like I'll give you a quick story. It was funny because I was at Home Depot a couple of months back, and I was just walking, right? It was early in the morning. They had just opened up the store, and I was walking on an aisle, and then there was another person coming, on the opposite side of me, and I just smiled at that person, and I said, "Hi, good morning," right? As simple as that. And then the person looked at me, and they're like, good morning, like kind of like shocked, right? And then I did it the second time, and then the person said, you seem pretty happy, everything good. I'm like, this is how I'm always happy, but the point to that is that I made an impact on that person somehow because I just changed their thought process, because it's a pattern interrupt, right? We as people go through so many different things. We have so many different aspects, and you got to create that pattern interrupt to start shifting and gearing the mind to a different aspect, right? So I love what you mentioned in terms of those two things because they're huge, and we just don't see it though. It's like it's a big part of ourselves on a day-to-day basis, right?
It's a puzzle, right? It's a puzzle. Like all these things connect to make you a beautiful scenery, like that's how it comes together.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, what do you believe, or what are your thoughts in terms of fitting your mind with, I call it with the right ingredients? What is your thought and belief on that? Because obviously going from a low point and saying I need to change, that had to not just be doing action. That's definitely one part of it. The other part of it is mentally you have to be prepared for that. So what is your belief on that?
So basically, I feel people like you and me and anybody that helps the society and community to think this way is way bigger and way better than any pharmaceutical company can ever be. Like what we do and what that frame of mind is. If you have that right, there's people there's so many stories that they fought off cancer, they fought off, just by having that the words, the thoughts, like all these things, the energy is so powerful that it can affect, like look at kids, like you never know if kids can understand how you are, like parents. You can pretend any way, you laugh at the joke with it, but they know if you're going through something, they feel that energy. And when they're older, they talk about it. Oh, my parents,
that is true.
Like, what the heck? Like, what do you mean? It's amazing. Like, we were having dinner every night. Everything was fine. Like, what are you talking about? They knew there was financial problems. They knew they could feel it. They could sense it. Maybe they heard it sometimes too, right? But that energy is so important for yourself and the people around you. That smile you did in the grocery store has taken a step forward beyond your boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And now it's his bucket. So how he takes care of that gift means everything, and the smiling thing, like I do a lot. I do end up with a angry face. My son always says, he goes, why, what's going on? Because times when I'm thinking, I say to them, I get in a different zone, right? But I try to always, if you're like feeling depressed or feeling that, and we're all human, right? Like we will feel those things. No matter what you have, no matter what you do, everybody has a set of problems, right? So just by smiling and thinking about yourself being in a certain environment where you were extremely happy, those two things you do at that moment for 5-10 seconds, you're out of that. Like you're totally gone. You're moved out. Like you're in a totally different state, So my thought is that's where it all starts. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Is in your mind.
Yeah, no, and that's actually pretty true because I myself have found myself doing that a few times. Like you said, we're all human, and even though people like you and I, we continue to work and we continue to work on ourselves and really develop that mindset. We still go through, just like anybody else, we still go through some challenging times or down moments, right? The difference is, and I think this is where people need to start working towards and really creating that foundation is that we've taken tools, or we've looked at different aspects of how can we change a negative state of mind into a positive state of mind by doing different, like you said, just smiling or just bringing positive thoughts or whatever the case be. You create something to make that change. People that haven't, I guess, discovered that or have not gone through that, they don't know how to get out of that, and then they stay mad or angry or whatever the negative emotion with them for pretty much whatever period of time, right? And so you got to be able to find ways to shift that. So with that, what are some things that you do on a day-to-day basis, or that can help you stay in that positive mindset? Do you have any particular habits or any particular, Tony Robbins refers to them as rituals, that you do on a day-to-day basis?
You remind me of that. So for a very long time now, I know Tony does too, but I have to take a morning cold shower. You know, and I live on a property with the well water. Yeah. So our temperature in the winter is like
yeah. I can only imagine.
Yeah, I tell my friends, they say, "What the heck is wrong? Like, how do you do that?" I go, "I don't like it, but I do it because my day totally." It's a different type of day, like that one. And another thing I do is one thing I put in my mind always, and I remember, is naturally human beings, the studies show, naturally human beings are 90% negative and 10% positive, naturally. Right? Mm-hmm. So your human, your genes, your everything about us is generally very easy for us to look at something negative. Mm-hmm. So it's part of the mindset. So when I know that, I try not to go that way. You know what I'm saying? So I fight it. So I overpower that. And once I realize I'm naturally supposed to be 90% negative, I know how to fight it because I know the problem. So I know how to go. So that's how I deal with it. So I say, no, 10% negative, and then, then 90% positive, right? So I change it that way. And that's like the main thing I do. I always remember that, right? I always remember that because I control it. Everything that we do is we control it, Right. So, like a long time ago, I quit like smoking, drinking, and that was in my mind. My buddies, I've been doing it for my whole life, and they say, "How do you do it? Like, what do you do?" I go, "It's just I know what I can control, right?"
It comes down to a choice, right? I mean,
drugs or patches, I just know I can do it.
Right, and it comes down to a choice. I mean, although it may not the action might not be that simple, yet it starts with the thought in mind, and then it comes, and then it follows by you making that choice. I choose not to smoke anymore, and then even if it's going to be hard to take that action, I'm gonna stop putting the cigar on my mouth or whatever the case may be. So it comes down to that action a lot of times, right? I believe in anything that we do.
Yeah, and that's part of that commitment that I learned how to do when I left that basement is that promise, that word.
Yeah.
So I developed that. So I'm generally very whenever I say something, I'm very strict about making sure I do that. Like I'm very focused on my word, what I say. If I do say it and it didn't work out that way, I will bring it up. I'll say that, okay, I know I said that, but sorry, but this is what happened, right? So I'm very anal like that, right? So that's why what I do is when I do something, and it's very easy for anyone to do this. So if you actually make a commitment, because if you break a promise to yourself, there's nothing worse. Like, what would you do to others, right? If you don't, people say things to themselves like January 1st, I'm not going to drink anymore, right? And then February 1st comes along with some stress, they do it, right? So it broke. They didn't really promise. They said they won't. But if they actually take a piece of paper, they write a sentence, they sign it, they get a witness, they declare, like they actually say they made a decision, they gave themselves their word that they're not going to touch this. And that's how I got rid of it, because I can't break my word to myself. I can't say sorry to myself. Like that's next level. I cannot break my word to myself. You know what I mean? So that's how I become really focused. And that's the same thing when that basement, I made a commitment. I made a promise to myself. I can't break it. I can't make them go through that. Right?
I really like that. I never seen that or heard that. And that's actually pretty awesome, where you're definitely getting to, you're entering into a contract with yourself and you breaking that. it actually takes to the next level, like you mentioned, and that's your integrity. That's you. Like if you break that commitment to yourself, like in anything in life, right? If you're an entrepreneur, then how can people trust you in your business, or how can people have that within, that trust within you?
You trust yourself.
Exactly, right? So I really love that. I mean, I definitely love that, getting that that commitment, getting it signed, getting a witness, because at that point it's like, okay, you're not only going to let yourself down, you're going to let other people down, because you got people that pretty much are witnessing that event, which yeah.
That is like total lie, you know what I mean? So you don't want to do that, right? So that's how I found. That's what I always recommend people do. So I first ask, like, do you take commitment seriously? Like, when you say something, do you take that serious? Almost 100% of people say yes, right? They're very focused on what they say, and they never break their promise. So then when you say to do it this way, it really does help. Even if you break and you make a mistake, there's a wedding, whatever, right? So it happens, right? But as long as it's not a habit, like if you do it once, make sure you're strict about that commitment. That's why I found that paper and that signing, it has that next extra layer for you not to break it.
Yeah, it's funny because I forget the statistics or something like that. However, we as human beings, there's a bigger commitment, going back to commitment, when we say something and then we put it actually on paper and we write it down. There's kind of, like you said, that double layer. So that can be the same thing for like anything, right? You have it on the mind, you have it on the writing. So it could be the same thing, like not only just making a commitment. If you're trying to lose weight, don't just say, I want to lose weight, or I want to lose 10 pounds. Write it down. And I tell people, I tell people a few things. Number one, you want to write it down. Number two, you want to make sure that you have a date against that, so you can track yourself, and it's attainable based on that date. And then the last thing is also write down things that are going to help you succeed that one action, right? So if it's losing weight, might be, okay, I'm going to stop eating fries. I'm going to work out once a day, whatever actions you have, and then put a date against that. And write it down. I mean, it's not just, it's good to say it, but you have to put it on paper, because then the way your mind and everything works is more powerful doing it that way.
It solidifies it, right? Like the same in business. You know how you do NDA and you do all these agreements.
Yeah.
Honestly, who really goes back after anyone? Like they're just it's really on your core beliefs and your handshake and your values is what matters, right? So the whole purpose of that is just to kind of that feeling of, oh man, I made a commitment. Like I signed on that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's more that signing is what matters more than the actual agreement, in my point of view.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. In your beliefs, how do you define success?
I define success with happiness. So if you're, if you have, you could be successful. You could have a lot, right? And then, for example, if you have a drinking problem, and then, if you're like drunk all day, and you have all this money, it doesn't mean you're happy. Like you could not, you know what I mean? So it's not really money. It's about how you feel, how you're happy, what you have, being content every day, right? Thinking about today. So today, what am I grateful for, right? What do I have, just being happy, and what I want to attain, where I'm working towards. And again, having those signed dates and small goals to get there and define them, right? That route. So you vision yourself there, and then you're going to work backwards. Yep. So you know how to articulate that. When you get even closer, that's where your happiness. If you're happy with that stepping stone of success, you'll be happy, right? So I think just be grateful, and then take every little success as a big success, and be happy based on that.
Right. Yeah, no, I love that. And you definitely are not the first person that had mentioned that success is not defined by the monetary value that you have on your bank account. Success is defined based on, how happy you are, or the fulfillment that you have. And I can see that from you, like even the things that you want to do is again, be able to help out more people. That brings you joy, that brings you happiness, because you're impacting more people. That's one thing that I want to be able to do. To me, that's like success. Like when I have a book, and so when people send me a message and say, hey, I read your book and you changed my life, to me, that means a million times more than getting the money for that book, right? So it's very important for people to see that it's not always going to be about money. It's always follow your passion, follow the one thing you want that makes you happy, and everything else is going to follow, right? And I think, right?
Yeah, that's exactly like what I do. Is I don't know if you heard of MindMeister.
Mm-hmm.
It's a website, MindMeister. So it's about mind mapping. So what I do is I spend almost every day a portion of my time there where I put my vision, like where I put my things that I want to do, how I want to impact. So in there, I'm always trying to figure out a way to kind of impact as many people as I can. Like, so I'm always trying to find ways for people to make money, find ways for people to be happy, find ways for people to lose these bad, draining, just overall negative kind of habits, So these are always, I'm trying to see how many people I can impact as many as I can, right? Because really at the end of the day, we're not going to live forever, right? So you just want people to talk about you in a positive way.
Yeah, definitely. So tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, the business you have, and the things that you have going on. Share a little bit of that aspect.
So yeah, so basically, I'm an entrepreneur. I love business, right? So I love business. I love gearing the business around helping people. That's how I get into things. So the automotive thing that we're doing with my partner is his concept, his idea. I'm a co-founder, like I'm an investor. The whole idea is about actually helping your stay-at-home moms or people that are, want a side hustle. His design is based on that, right? So that's why I'm happy about that. The clinic, it was helping people with chronic problems, severe problems. We didn't really even look at acute that much. We will take it, but our whole model is behind taking people that are suffering and they don't want to get a surgery or eat medicine. So the design, the way we have it, so we've sourced equipment globally. We don't and someone knock at the door and say, hey, I have this laser, you want to buy it? No, we find globally the best type of equipment and we import. That's how we do it. So when we're treating, it gives results. So people, when they come, because you got to have a design, you can't just go after that type of niche or that type of people to help them, but not have anything to back it up. Like you can be a great practitioner, but still need equipment to kind of support it to get them better as soon as possible, right? So the whole model is about bringing the chronic severe, discharging them as soon as possible. That creates a raving fan, right? So we don't try to maximize benefits and all that kind of garbage. We just focus on getting them better as fast as possible. And then the marketing, the online, the vision, like what the brand looks like, everything complements it, right? So that's how I find excitement in that, to create those experiences in business. Right now, I'm working on some digital products. I don't want to get into, but there are digital products for people to kind of monetize, to make money from home. I'm very active on social media, on Instagram. I know there's a lot of people, personal brands especially, they kind of market everywhere, right? I honestly, I just stick with Instagram, and that's where I have a Facebook and stuff. I don't really LinkedIn, but I just usually do most of the efforts on Instagram. I will probably increase that in the future, but that's where nowadays, being at home, you're kind of kind of focused. I work more at home than I did before. You know what I mean? Like you get so much more done. A lot of people are saying they don't, but because I wake up early, so by the time the kids are up and everything, I get so many things done. So
and part of that too, I think, is you have to enjoy the journey, right? You have to enjoy what you're doing, and then you become more productive. And when you don't enjoy what you're doing, you tend to drag yourself out and just kind of procrastinate or whatever the case may be, right? So that's like anything we do in life. Like we just need to make sure we enjoy that moment or whatever it is that we're doing, whether it's for work, for pleasure, enjoy it. And it's going to be definitely more enjoyable from that perspective.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So before I let you go, I have a couple more questions for you. Number one, if people wanted to connect with you, where can they find you?
Instagram.
Okay.
So it's Official Shahid Durrani. So OFFICIAL SHAHID DURRANI.
Okay, cool. And I'll have that in the comments for people to check that out, so they can actually connect with you. And then you've given us some great ideas. So if there was one thing you can tell the listeners now in terms of what they can do now in anything they're going through their lives, any challenges that they can do now to overcome those challenges or anything in life, what would that be?
I would say spend the next week focused on your current situation. So every day, think about something in a positive way, obviously.
Right.
Because remember, the negative is going to be piled up. You're going to have a lot of that. You know,
right.
You don't have to think about it. You'll have.
It's already there. Yeah, exactly.
You're always ready for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can simply open your app and your phone. You'll find negativity, right? So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But just focus on what you currently have. I would recommend the best advice I would give is just focus for a week every day about your current situation, what you have, what you're doing, where you are, right? And really take that in, and then figure out, and then from there, where you want to go, right? What do you want to do? And then resource up. Like, you gotta really research and like I'm known for being resourceful. Like, that's resourceful is the huge component of the success. So focus on where you are right now, where you want to go, and then get really, really focus on creating like massive, actions right towards that goal. If you can come up with that soon. But if you focus every day for the next 7 days about your current situation, you might come up with some stuff.
Got it. Yeah, no, I love that. So definitely, know where you are now, so you know where you need to go, right? A lot of times we forget about that. We have an illusion of, we think that we're in one particular place when we're not really there. So we need to understand where are we now, so we can take those steps to be where we want to be. So I love that. Definitely, thanks for sharing that. Other than that, I mean, I want to say thank you, Shahid. I had a really good time speaking with you. Anything else before I let you go that you want to say to our viewers or listeners?
Well, hopefully I can have you a guest on my show too.
Yeah, please, definitely. I'll love to be there. Yes, let me know when you launch.
Yeah, for sure, virtual.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, definitely. We'll definitely connect and get me on your show for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Cesar, and thank you to all your listeners.
Thank you again, Shahid, for being here. And for the rest of you guys, please do me a favor, make sure you share, you like, you subscribe. Go check out Shahid at Instagram. I'll have that down here so you guys can check him out, connect with him, and follow him. And please stay tuned for the next episodes. And don't forget to comment and share. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you tuned in to this podcast. You can find me at Spreaker.com, where you can like and subscribe. And to learn more about myself and my services, you can find me at www.CesarRespino.com, or you can also find me at Facebook under Cesar R. Espino. Once again, thanks for joining me. I am looking forward to having you at the next episode, and know that you truly can overcome anything.